once known as the Garden City, is now grappling with the growing waste crisis. Despite various initiatives and policies, garbage disposal and waste segregation remain major challenges. With rapid urbanization and increasing population pressure, the need for sustainable waste management solutions has never been greater. In this interview, we are joined by Mohammed Qhizer Jameel, the co-founder of Ecocrew, to discuss waste management in Bengaluru, the challenges faced, and the innovative solutions that can lead us towards a cleaner and more sustainable city. We explore how Ecocrew, which was built by Jameel and his friend Muqtadir Ahmed, is working to bridge the gap between waste generators and recyclers, the role of individuals in responsible waste disposal, and what the future holds for waste management in one of India's fastest growing cities. Can Bengaluru move towards a zero waste future? Let's find out. Thank you so much for joining us, firstly. And so, Bangalore is known for having traffic and water shortage. These are some problems that we typically face. And along with that, waste management is something that the city is really tired of. So, what are the root causes for this difficulty in waste management in Bangalore specifically?
First of all, thanks for having me here. And the root cause that I would probably think of is there's lack of infrastructure in terms of the collection mechanism that is needed for the waste to be collected. Bangalore generates around 4,500 to 5,000 tons of recyclables and waste every day, combining wet and dry both, right? And at some wards, and Bangalore has around 198 wards. In some wards, the mechanism is very good, and at the other places, the mechanism is not that great in terms of collection. That's first reason. The second reason I would say is the waste is not segregated. It's not segregated properly into wet and dry. Even if people are giving wet waste, it has a lot of dry waste remains into it. And then clearing it up or removing it or segregating it on a later stage turns out to be very difficult. So that's one of the major reasons why Bangalore is facing this problem. And people are not really that educated in terms of how should they really store their recyclables or how should they really segregate what is recyclable or what is not, right? So there's a lack of education around people here. That's what I think.
So when you say that there is a lack of infrastructure for the waste to be processed, what does that exactly mean?
So what happens is, okay, let's look at how things are going to be collected. There's a small vehicle, three-wheeler auto that comes around your place. We put everything into that. From there, it goes into a bigger truck. From there, that bigger truck travels all the way outside Bangalore and dumps it into a landfill. And if the waste is not segregated, that's where it goes to the landfills. And we have around 7 landfills in Bangalore, out of which 3 of them are right now closed. Fourth one is on the merge of completely filling up, and the remaining 3 are able to process some part of it, right? And when we say that 4,000 to 4,500 to 5,000 tons is getting generated, and it's not getting, all of it is not really going to the landfills, right? So it has to be a decentralized way of collection. The processing of the recyclables has to happen in a nearby place so that it doesn't really have to commute that long, and so that the vehicles are able to do more trips rather than doing less trips. So when you're supposed to go dump it out so far away from the city, right? There's a lot of time that is wasted in the transportation, and a lot of infrastructure, a lot of vehicles is needed. And all thanks to the IT culture here in Bangalore, where people are coming in lakhs and lakhs into Bangalore, and the way Bangalore is growing, it's getting difficult for us to handle everything here.
So, how does Ecocrew also help in this? Because one side is the BBMP that you explained, how BBMP functions in the waste collection, and there are various initiatives that BBMP has also taken to educate people about the segregation and try to help, and they've started imposing fines. But again, in a lot of areas, we see that it actually doesn't really happen. People still put in all the dry and wet waste together. How does Ecocrew come in? How does it help in the segregation section in infrastructure of the waste management.
Perfect. So the way we started Ecocrew was me and my co-founder Muqtadir, we were just looking for problems to solve. And the first problem that Muqtadir came up with was dry waste. And we then did a bit of research in the wet waste and the dry waste and realized that when we visited the landfills, we understood a lot of things that are going to the landfills are actually recyclables, which can still be recycled and repurposed and reused in the market, right? And that's how the idea of Ecocrew came into existence. And the way Ecocrew helps is there's no platform in Bangalore where a house can give away all the recyclable items at one single go, apart from the wet waste. So we don't take wet waste. Apart from that, let's say for a minute, you're moving out from one place to another. And we see this here in Bangalore that a lot of people change their houses because of their office locations, because they don't want to drive for a longer time. They want a house nearby to the office and things of that sort. So when that happens, they tend to leave away a lot of trash behind in the house which they have left, or they remove a lot of trash when they reach the new house, that I don't want to use this, I don't want to use this, I don't want to use this pair of shoes, I don't want to wear use this pair of clothes, I don't want to use this old TV of mine, right? I don't want to use this old stove of mine and things of that sort. Now there's no platform in Bangalore which accepts everything. Now if you want the local kabadi walas that come, they don't know how to handle your clothes, they don't know how to handle shoes. They don't know how to handle thermocol. They don't know how to handle tires, right? So that is where a company like us comes into play, saying, let me take care of all the belongings that you want to get rid of, and we will procure it from you. We'll not just take it from you, we will procure it from you. We will pay you for everything that you're taking from you, right? And that's how Ecocrew started. So we did a bit of market search, market research, and we spoke to a couple of users in the market. And that's where we understood a lot of people have this problem because of this fast fashion that is going on in the world right now, where people are procuring every now and then, and we are just buying all the time. And how do you get rid of things, right? So that's the way Ecocrew came into place. And what is going to the landfill is not only plastic and paper. Your electronic waste is also going to the landfill. Mattresses are also going to the landfill. Clothes are also going to the landfill. Shoes are also going to the landfill. See, the BBMP guy who comes outside my house, if I keep two pair of shoes and give him a full dustbin of wet waste, he's not going to make it out, right? People can hide anything and then move it out. That is what people do. Or if not, I will throw it out in the night on the corner of a street. A pair of clothes that I don't want to use, shoes and everything, right? We have seen mattresses, we have seen sofas, we have seen beds thrown away like that. So that's what kind of pushed us to solve this problem, wherein we are able to procure everything, we are able to pay for everything that we're taking from the customer, and the customers start liking it. And how Ecocrew helps is, for example, if you give me milk packets as a different category, I need you to give me milk packets which are clean and dry. Just rinse them and dry it. I'll pay extra for the milk packets that you're giving me, because milk packets are the most that go into your wet waste. People don't even know that, right? Your Maggie wrappers, your Kurkure wrappers, and all of that stuff, which like it's a behavioral change that needs to come in, because there's no perceived notion of plastic as value.
Yeah.
You will never see books being thrown into waste because we have been taught from our childhood that this has some value. So we will store it. We will store the newspapers, we will store the books, and then give it to the kabadi wala and make some money out of it. But that is not the notion towards plastic. People don't really have that mindset towards plastic, and that is what Ecocrew is trying to change. So we at Ecocrew don't take any plastic that has food remains on it or that is dirty. We don't take clothes that are that have some sort of dirt. Even if they are torn, we'll take it. That's completely fine. But people cannot give us clothes that are wet, right? We will not take mattresses that are wet, right? It needs to be clean and dry. Only then it can be further recycled or reused into the market. That's the way we are doing it. And apart from that, we also have one more thing, which is the concept of reuse, the thrift store. The t-shirt that I'm wearing right now is something that came in our thrift store. So whatever material we collect from multiple people comes down to our warehouse, gets segregated as to what can be recycled and what can be reused. Whatever can be reused goes into our physical thrift store, and people come and procure it from us. Right?
So
For example,
basically,
clothes, your
collaborators.
shoes. Yes, yes, yes. And not even collaborators, customers.
Okay.
Customers. For example, people from the lower class society or the lower middle class society and people from the high class society who don't really want to have a lot of carbon footprint and who want to live a eco-friendly, sustainable life, they walk into our store and procure something which is already being used by someone else because they are okay reusing certain things.
Yeah.
Right? So that's another thing. So before it can be recycled, we are seeing if it can be reused. If it can be reused, great, get it reused. If not, then push it to the recycling company so that they can recycle it.
Okay, so all the waste that comes to you, it's either segregated as recycled or reused. Whatever is
Yes.
reused will obviously get into the system back again, and recycling will be given it to the
Yep.
companies who would be able to recycle that products or the things that you've collected.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
But even like you said that, as you had mentioned that people in Bangalore tend to drop a lot of things directly on the street, and usually kabadiwalas are mostly for paper or plastic or something that's in bulk. Small things are always thrown in the garbage at home. So when you say that, how does the whole system function exactly? Like, so do you guys directly mention that you can't give this to us, or is it refused when the service happens at the doorstep? How does it change?
Perfect, nice. So when the order is placed on our application, so how does the order get placed? So a person has to click pictures of the recyclables that they want to get rid of and select a date and time of their convenience and enter their UPI ID so that we can do the payment online to them directly via Razor Pay as a payment gateway. And what happens here is after the order is placed, it is analyzed by a set of team, which basically tells the customer that this is something that we will not be able to accept. This is something that we will accept. For example, we don't take wood and ceramic because we are not able to find vendors in the market. Wood is basically like a lot of people today are using uh, like the sheets, the plywoods, and the sheets that are used to create the furniture is already from a waste, right? From the dust that is used. So that is something which is not recyclable. So we tell the customer, madam, ma'am, if it's your bed, then we won't be able to take it. But if it's a metal bed, we will take it. That shouldn't be an issue for us because we will then bring it to our warehouse and then dismantle it and give it to the recyclers who will recycle it. Right. So that's how we do it. Now, if and after my pickup executive comes to your doorstep, he educates the customer. Ma'am, we even take this, we take this, we take this. And if you're having these materials, this is the way you should clean it. This is the way you can store it, and this is the way you can place an order for us. Right? That's how we educate, and we have a lot of social media content that goes on to our social media channels. Plus, we also have a feeds section in our app called as feeds, which is to create educational content so that we can keep educating our customers as to what is the right way of doing things.
So what would be the right way of managing waste at an home? Like, let's say somebody, who everyday waste is generated in all the homes here. So for those individuals, what is the basic, most doable things that should be done?
Like, good question. So what we basically paper, plastic, and electronics. Metal waste is something which they don't really usually store, and even if they store it, it's kept at the place where it is at the same time, right? So the waste, which is majorly plastic, we ask our customers to usually keep it in the kitchen itself because that is where the majority of your plastic comes into place. And then in any of your study rooms or in your balconies, keep a cardboard box, and in that keep putting your plastic and everything and your paper category. Like for example, today a lot of online shopping that is happening from Blinkit, Zepto, right, and other Flipkart, Amazon. So you get everything in a paper bag, right? So just wrap that up and fold it and keep them properly. stack it one above the other. So if you do that, it will take less space and it will be properly kept. And the moment we come, it's easy for us to weigh it, and we take craft papers and everything. So it's easy for us to weigh it and then enter the quantity of that, and then we move to the next pickup. And if it's a fridge or if it's a washing machine that people want to get rid of, so we usually tell our customers to not use the washing machine a day before that. Or if everything is to be drained out from the washing machine, please drain it out, ma'am. And if there are any food remains in your fridge, refrigerator, please remove it, because we won't be taking the refrigerator along with some food bottles or packets into it.
But that's at the when they are trying to give it away, when they're throwing it outside the home. But what about the everyday waste? Like usually the
Yep.
cooking waste comes in, and the small everyday here and there things are there. For
For the
that,
cook,
how would you say?
yeah. So it's all about having a small carton box in your kitchen and a small carton box in your balcony or your gallery where you can store all the paper and everything. And in the kitchen, keep a small carton box. Keep piling all the dry plastic waste that is coming into your this thing. For example, your Maggie wrapper. Just keep it inside there, right? The way, like for example, there's a social media influencer called Worm Rani, and and there's something called as SWMRT. They did something called as one bag, two bin, right? In one single bag, there are two different bins. One is your wet waste and one is your dry waste, right? And that was a very good concept. So all you need to do is keep your dry waste separate all the time. And now, how do you want to keep it? Do you want to keep it in a carton box, or you want to procure a different box altogether for that? That's up to the customer. But again, it's something that should be kept in the kitchen where it's easily where you are reminded that this shouldn't go into your wet waste and should rather go into your dry waste.
So segregation always has to be happening so that the waste process becomes easier and it's much more better for the environment.
Yep, absolutely. Unless see, if you're not segregating at the source, then segregating after two steps where everything is mixed is not going to be possible. Like for example, there's a saying: if you mix it, you lose it.
Mm.
There's no value that is going to be recovered from those resources. The moment you mix it with something else, right? It's going to lose its value, right? And it is not going to be like you won't be able to recover the value of those resources then.
I think that's exactly what's happening in Bangaluru's landfills as well, where everything is dumped all together over there if it's
Yep,
not being segregated.
yep,
So,
yep.
with Bangalore's rapid urbanization, as you mentioned, how do you see waste management evolving in the next 10 years at this pace? The way.
BBMP and the government has been taking pretty good steps and making very stringent policies. But what they need to do is they need to enforce those policies into the system. For example, there's something called as deposit return system, DRS. So let's say for a minute that you take a bottle of like today you take a Bisleri water bottle for 20 rupees. Now you're just paying 20 rupees for that. Let's say for a minute there's you get to know that you will receive 2 rupees. It's the cost is 18 rupees, and the moment you go and give back the bottle, you'll get 2 rupees back, right? So Indian market is basically not a DIY market, do it yourself. It is rather DYFM market, do it for me market, right? So when you look at such things, right? I don't want to do everything on myself. I want someone else to do it for me, right? So we have to bring in the system of DRS, which a lot of other countries have already have already adopted. For example, Germany, Europe, and other countries have already adopted this. And Germany is now able to recycle about 90% of their plastic. And we are not even close. We are not even like recycling 5 or 10% of our plastic that we are generating in the market, right? And again, what happens is the plastic bottle, plastic should go back for plastic itself. Now, it is not getting upcycled into small granules, which are used for the creation of a bucket or something else altogether, right? So we need to have more stringent policies. We need the government's intervention. Like there has to be better penalty system or fine system. There needs to be a better incentive system so that the DRS system, if that comes into place, for example, it could be like now the water bottle that was supposed to be 20, you need to pay 30 rupees for it. And you get that 10 rupees back when you return the bottle back, or if someone returns the bottle back, right? And and to us interns, when it is coming to pay something extra, we will be careful for sure.
Yeah. Also, lastly, what does zero waste Bengaluru would look like if it happens, and how far are we from achieving it?
I would say very, very far, man. That zero waste Bangalore, when we think about it, a lot of people today are living a zero waste lifestyle. But again, it's completely impossible for you to live a zero waste lifestyle, to be very honest. Either you'll have some sort of carbon footprint in terms of your vehicle emissions or electricity emissions and things of that sort. But again, a lot of restaurants and a lot of users these days have adopted it. For example, there's a outlet here in Jayanagar called Taza Tindi, which doesn't give any parcels in terms of plastic. You need to get your own containers to take parcel from Taza Tindi. I mean, more restaurants probably have to adopt this.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us.